Ooh, ooh. Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Behind the Pencil. This is episode 4, and the focus of this particular one is going to be Seamus O'Leary. Now, Seamus, very much like Philip, is quite new to me, and I haven't quite hammered down the character itself. I just have concepts, doodle sketches, and sort of loose storyline applied to the character already. I know the direction I want to go with him, but I haven't quite gotten there as far as my art is concerned, mostly because I haven't really started working on the series itself. But initially, what I had planned out for Seamus was that he was going to be this very, very shy, part Irish little mouse who grows up in the mill. His history is completely dependent on the mill. His family worked for the mill. His family's family worked for the mill. He is like third generation mill worker for the Brambleberry family. So his is actually deep-seated history when it comes to the story. The thing of it is he ends up orphaned quite early in his life, and that sort of makes him reclusive. He's very shy. He's quite afraid of other people and forming connections. But as it is, I have a good friend named Taylor who came over with me from the Harp and Stars universe. She had made a character over there named Emilia Elliott, and as I've been developing, I've sort of been doodling Emmy in sketches when it comes to Seamus. Now, my intention starting out was not to ship them together at all, but it ended up happening anyway. But I kind of ship Seamus with everyone because he is a player. But I actually gave them a bit of history. Oops, I'm hitting my lights. So here you see Seamus looking very, very shy, very, very reclusive, and then there's Emmy. Emmy is very out there. She's very extrovert. She's kind of loud as a child, very friendly, very, you know, she wants to make friends. She's just that kind of person. So she is very extroverted, whereas Seamus in the beginning is very introverted. So she and Poppy, actually, who is another Sakura Hearts character from Harp and Stars, who also came over with me, Poppy and Emmy are good friends, and they decide pretty much between the two of them that Seamus is now going to be their friend, and he really doesn't have much say in it. As they get older, their relationship changes. Seamus starts becoming much more extroverted with the help of beer and alcohol. Very common in his sort of culture, drinking is... everyone does it. Everyone does it. So he does it too. And the more he drinks, the louder he gets. But even without drinking, he is pretty loud and extroverted. He just tends to show more emotion when he's sober. But when he's drunk, he's just flirty and loud and happy. So we got Seamus here, sort of mirroring Emmy up here. Emmy saying, "Hi, I'm Emmy. You're my new friend." And then here's Seamus down here hollering, "Hi," or "Emmy, my friend," you know, like greeting her. And then Emmy's just like, "Oh my God, shut up." So she basically starts it. They have sort of this relaxed friendship where she can be very blunt and very like honest with him, and he doesn't take offense to it because, hey, that's just Emmy. She's always been like that, honest, straightforward, extroverted, whatever. Seamus, you know, he flirts with her. He kind of does what he's got to do. But these two are actually quite close friends. When Seamus is having a bad day or needs someone to talk to, Emmy is the person he goes to. He doesn't know Piper, so he doesn't go to her, and you'll see later on that he doesn't really have good relationships with necessarily everybody, but you know, it is what it is. Seamus is a gatherer, and I also have another picture of him somewhere in there where he is a transporter, because there's very few males in my universe. The fire that I have mentioned before that took his parents' lives has left the mill with a very large female population, because the women were saved first, the women and the children, but the males were trying to fight the fire and trying to sort of evacuate people, so they ended up losing their lives to the fire. So there's a very tilted population to the point within the mill where there's very few male workers but lots and lots of female workers. So the male workers tend to have to do dual roles. A little stutter there. Sometimes 3 roles. Sheamus actually does 3 roles. He does go out into the fields and gather, which is a dangerous job, and he doesn't necessarily like doing it. He does take the gathered cotton that's already been spun and everything, and he takes it to the trade goods, but he also does guard duty when Jean isn't able to do it or Jean needs a break. So he's done all 3. He's a Renaissance man. He does everything. But honestly, most of the guys do all 3, but Jean and Sheamus are my male leads besides Philip, and Philip isn't going to do any of that. He's too proper. Anyway, so I was drawing a picture of Sheamus here. A little disproportionate. His head's quite large for his body. Just bringing in some cotton. A couple doodles here. Well, this one is Sam and Piper, so that doesn't even matter. So this is Sheamus and Jean, and I kind of envisioned them growing up together. Jean is also 3rd or 4th generation mill worker, so whatever, but in the fire, when Sheamus loses his parents, he's honestly left as an orphan. And Jean takes on a very big brother role to a lot of the orphans, because who else is going to take care of them? He ends up taking care of Sheamus. He ends up helping out with Emmy, but Emmy really doesn't need anyone because she's got Allison. A lot of the girls end up with Allison, who's quite a bit older. And a lot of the guys really have nobody to look up to. You would think that Philip would have filled that position, but that's not in his character. So it actually turns out to be Jean who does it. But that being said, you know, brothers do fight, and Sheamus and Jean fight a lot. Jean does not particularly care for his flirty behaviors or his drinking. He feels like Sheamus should be a little bit more serious about his job, a little bit more serious about protecting people. And he's also quite territorial when it comes, or Jean is quite territorial when it comes to the ladies that he has chosen. Now, Jean and Emmy get along very well. At least in my mind, they get along very well. I haven't really hashed out the details. Emmy basically just tells Jean what she needs or what needs to be done. And Jean listens to her because they've grown up together. But at the same time, you know, sometimes Emmy is Emmy and she kind of pushes his buttons. But they get along relatively well. Sheamus, on the other hand, purposely pushes Jean's buttons. They have that kind of a relationship. He knows that Jean doesn't like his drinking, so whatever, but whatever. Yeah, I got Sheamus down here saying that Jean hits like a little baby. He must be getting soft. He's kind of making fun of him. Sorry, I need to slow down and speak. Seamus is making fun of Jean in this particular picture because he finds out that Jean might have a little crush on Piper. And Seamus has a little crush on Piper as well. As you can see, he flirts with her all the time. But it never becomes anything serious. He kind of walks a very fine line with her. He flirts with her, includes her. He would like to date her, but in the end, he backs off, mostly because he's going to find out that Jean might have a thing for Piper. Piper definitely has a thing for Jean. And, well, that's basically it. That, and I'm sure Emmy has words with him, like, you know, she likes Jean, so leave her alone, sort of thing. But they do end up becoming good friends. And then here's a picture of Sheamus and Emmy again. I drew a lot of them in particular because theirs is a relationship that I would like to bud throughout the series as well. There's not many sketches of, this is actually the last page, this is all I've got for poor Sheamus, but there's more coming, I promise. It's just he's not as developed as everybody else has been. So here we got Sheamus and Poppy. Poppy, her character I need to kind of work on a little bit more because she still looks way too much like Emmy, so I need to change it up a bit. Sheamus and Emmy, Sheamus and Poppy flirt a lot. They flirt back and forth. Emmy, oh my god. Emmy and Sheamus flirt back and forth too, but it's nowhere near as bad as Poppy and Sheamus. And I think it's because they both feel safe in the understanding that neither of them, they're not going to get together. It's just that they're both very similar in their behaviors when it comes to flirting around and things like that, both Poppy and Sheamus. I need to work on someone for Poppy, maybe. Not everybody has to be hooked up in my stories. It just ends up happening that way. Sam and Sheamus actually were friends. They grew up together, and when Sam and Adam left the mill, that friendship went with them because obviously the whole mill felt very betrayed by those two leaving. But every now and then Sam pops back up and tries to push Sheamus for some information. And Sheamus being Sheamus, he's very friendly, he's very trusting. He wants to trust Sam, but he can't trust Sam. Nobody really should, except for Adam, trust Sam. It's just not the way the world works. But Sam knows how to get what he wants from Sheamus too. So Sheamus is manipulable by certain people, and Sam is one of them. This is a picture of Sheamus just kind of looking sad-faced here. He's got to carry some stuff out for trade. And then when he is being serious and sad and he's got issues going on, this is how he gets Poppy's, or not Poppy's, but Emmy's attention, is he tugs on her ear. And when he does that, she knows it's time to go have a serious talk. And they usually go and spend time talking. Theirs is kind of, again, it's actually a mature relationship between them. It's just every now and then, even the most mature couples are immature at times. And when they're around other people, they tend to be immature. But when they're one-on-one and seriously in need of one another, they're a highly mature couple. So that's kind of how I've got it planned out for him. Sheamus is a lot of comic relief in the story just because, you know, that's his character, that's his nature. He wants to be laughy, he wants to be smiling, he doesn't want there to be strife, and he doesn't want people to be sad, so he's going to do what he can in order to prevent that. He's not going to play a major role, he's just kind of a support character in my story as of now. But he gets a backstory just because my friend Miss Emmy here, she's going to be sort of a upfront, sort of a direct support character. So I wanted her to have a little bit of backstory, and I don't see anything wrong with kind of tossing in another support character to be like, hey Emmy, this is your friend from when you were kids, don't you remember, sort of thing. And again, I think it rounds the world out to see that even the support characters have got history and have got ties with one another. Again, the whole story is about Piper being the odd duck out. She's the one who's coming in completely from nowhere, has no idea what's going on. So everything is new to her. And in order for her to learn how the process works, how the environment works, and how the culture works within the mill, she has to learn the stories of everybody around her. So as time goes on, she'll, you know, through Piper, we'll find out about everything with Sheamus and Emmy and everything. But from what I understand, somebody wants them to get hooked up and have like a bajillion babies, because like Emmy loves babies. And I'm not against that, but I don't know that the story's ever going to go that far. So, yeah. But that is what I've got for Seamus O'Leary. He's a very simple character. He develops before we see him in the story. His main development was as a child, and he was pulled from that introverted self, you know, that very shy, very reluctant to make those connections sort of mindset. He got pulled out of that, and he's getting pulled out by multiple people. He gets pulled out by Emmy, he gets pulled out by Jean, he gets pulled out by Sam. All these people do play a role in his life, and that's why I feel like he's a more balanced character. He doesn't have anger towards anyone in particular. He does get angry with Jean, but he's not angry at Jean. He gets angry with Philip, he doesn't get angry at Philip, you know what I mean? It's... He has a very good head on his shoulders, and of anyone, he is actually the most mature, though it's hard to believe when you take a look at how he acts when he gets drinking. But anyway, that's my story for Seamus so far. Very underdeveloped, but there's lots of room for him to grow. I'm excited to get to him. I was glad for the opportunity to draw more pictures of him and sort of finalize his design out and everything. He's already getting fan art. So, I mean... hooray, I'm just ecstatic about it. I'm glad that people are receiving him so well. He is blonde. I don't have any colored character sheets for him yet. He is blonde. He is sort of a darker pale mouse color. He's got blue eyes, and he's going to have pink accents, like a pink nose and pink ears. But other than that, and he has a brown spot on his chest, but, well, he does go shirtless sometimes, so if you go shirtless, you'll see it. But that is Seamus. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Behind the Pencil. My fifth and final one is going to be over Adam Proudpaw, and I will get to that next week sometime. He needs a lot of sketches done because I only have him in like Bat version and in Bunny version. I don't have him very much in Mouse version, so I'm going to work on some sketches for him before next week, and I'll get to him and that'll be my final episode because the rest of the characters aren't really mine, so I don't feel right doing behind the pencils for them. But yeah, so that's it for this week. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week.